For the fifth occasion, my family overlooked including me in their holiday celebrations. That's why I decided to purchase a secluded cabin in the hills entirely for my own enjoyment. 7 days after, they arrived unexpectedly, using a duplicate key to barge in, assuming I'd be by myself. What they didn't realize was that I had law enforcement, surveillance equipment, and an attorney ready to support me. I wasn't intended to learn about their festive arrangements this season. The absent invitation was something they avoided mentioning around me. However, when your young grandson of 8 years video calls you out of longing, hidden truths tend to emerge. "Grandma, why won't you be joining us for the holidays once more?" Ethan's pure expression occupied my tablet display, his brow furrowed with true bewilderment. "What are you referring to, dear?" I maintained a cheerful tone, even as a chill gripped my insides. "Dad mentioned you're occupied this time. Are you heading to an exciting spot? May I join you?" In the background, I spotted the recognizable pattern on the walls of my son Michael's family room. Festive ornaments already covered every area. It was merely the start of December. "I'm unclear on what your father intends, Ethan. Nobody has mentioned any holiday arrangements to me so far." His small features twisted in thought. "But the whole group is gathering at our place. Mom's organizing everything. She keeps a dedicated file named Holiday Season 2023 listing all the participants." I noticed it. "Does that include my name, Ethan?" Just as he was about to reply, a palm reached out and seized the tablet from him. My daughter-in-law Victoria's impeccably groomed appearance took over from Ethan's. "Ethan, remember you're not allowed to handle the tablet without permission," she reprimanded, then spotted me. "Oh, Eleanor, apologies for that. He's in a stage of challenging limits." "Victoria, Ethan and I were discussing the holidays. It appears you're the hosts." Her grin stiffened just a touch. "Oh, we're still working out the specifics. Nothing definite yet." "I understand." I held a calmly composed expression, a talent honed through 62 years of existence and 39 years instructing college learners. "Well, once everything is confirmed, kindly inform me. I'd adore spending time with the grandkids." "Naturally. I must run now. Ethan has schoolwork to complete." "Wave goodbye to Grandma, Ethan." I caught his subdued "bye, Grandma" prior to the connection dropping. Alone in my overly silent residence, I gazed at the empty display for quite a while. This marked the 5th consecutive holiday season. 5 years following David's passing. 5 years of progressively obvious justifications. "We're opting for a low-key event this time. Mom, the little ones might have caught something from class. We can't chance making you ill." "Oh, didn't Michael inform you we altered arrangements at the 11th hour?" I surveyed the dwelling David and I had occupied for 4 decades, where we nurtured 3 offspring and organized innumerable festive get-togethers. The space that once overflowed with joy, disputes, and vitality now resembled a gallery of recollections. In that instant, an inner part of me that had flexed and adjusted through 5 isolated years ultimately shattered. I launched my computer and accessed my financial account. The funds available occasionally still astonished me. David had excelled as an investment advisor, steadily building wealth during our union. Additionally, there was my inherited assets from relatives, which had expanded considerably thanks to his oversight. Our kids remained unaware, mainly since David and I opted for a humble lifestyle, favoring adventures over material goods. They believed my educator's retirement income was my sole resource. They figured I required their monetary aid, rendering their disregard even more painful. They didn't ignore me due to perceiving poverty. They ignored me while believing I lacked means. My digit lingered above the touchpad briefly before I switched to a property listing site. I'd casually explored hillside listings for several months, a fantasy, a method to envision an alternative existence. But abruptly, it ceased being mere fantasy. 3 hours on, I arranged an inspection for a listing I'd appreciated digitally for weeks. A modern hillside residence offering sweeping vistas, expansive glass panels, and total seclusion across 5 forested hectares. It was priced at $1.2 million, an amount that would leave my kids utterly stunned. The agent, Diane, appeared doubtful upon my solo arrival for the tour the following day. "This listing represents a significant commitment," she stated cautiously, glancing at my practical footwear and plain jacket. The majority of purchasers in this bracket are pairs or households seeking getaway spots. I'm unlike typical purchasers, I responded plainly. While exploring the residence, a sense of correctness eased into my core, one absent since prior to David's departure. The towering panes revealing the peaks in the distance, the enormous rock hearth, the high-end cooking area where I could experiment with those intricate dishes I'd collected. A protection setup is already in place, Diane pointed out during our walkthrough of the main bedroom. The prior residents prioritized safety. Premium cameras, movement detectors, the full array. You'd have to renew the oversight service, naturally. I acknowledged with a nod, picturing my presence here, secure and self-reliant. I'll acquire it, I declared. Diane blinked in surprise. Wouldn't you prefer to mull it over? Maybe consult relatives. I've pondered it for months, I stated honestly. And my relatives don't participate in my monetary choices. 2 weeks on, I completed the closing documents and obtained the entry devices for my fresh abode. The transaction progressed swiftly, courtesy of my capacity to present a large direct payment. While ascending the curving path to what now served as my hillside haven, light snow started descending, coating the evergreens bordering the access route. Within, I strolled through each space, tracing my fingers over surfaces and glass edges that were solely mine. No prior recollections here, no lingering spirits, no unfulfilled hopes. I enabled the protection mechanism right away, configuring the mobile application to oversee the site remotely. Then I contacted the single individual who had stayed a loyal companion amid it all. Marcus, this is Eleanor. I've taken a step that's either remarkably courageous or utterly reckless, I chuckled, the noise reverberating in the vacant structure, and I'd appreciate some guidance on declaring domicile and revising my testament. Marcus Winters had shared a deep bond with David since their university days and evolved into my pillar after David's demise. As I detailed my actions, his early astonishment transitioned to enthusiastic endorsement. It's high time you prioritized your own needs, Ellie, he expressed affectionately. I'll visit this weekend to assist with settling in. We'll examine all the forms and ensure proper arrangement. Upon concluding the discussion, I positioned myself before the vast glass expanse, observing flakes cover the elevations. For the initial instance in 5 years, I anticipated the holidays with eagerness, a celebration wholly mine. The initial 7 days in my hillside dwelling flew by amid shipments and choices. I'd transported only sentimental belongings from my former residence, electing to outfit this fresh area anew. Each acquisition resembled an assertion. This defines my current self. This aligns with my tastes. No further yielding to David's inclination for classic decor. No more preserving the kids' obsolete sleeping quarters immaculate for infrequent stays. Every selection, from the modern modular couch to the large bed with its customizable foundation, centered on my personal ease. You're creating a nest, Marcus commented on Friday night, showing up with his travel case and a pricey bubbly bottle. Snow dusted his graying locks. His well-known features folded into a grin that extended fully to his gaze. Is that the term for it? I giggled, accepting the sparkling wine. I believed I was experiencing a midlife upheaval. An upheaval implies bad judgments. This, he motioned across the expansive layout with its stunning dusk hillside panorama, might be the wisest move you've made in ages. After directing him to the visitor quarters, I provided Marcus a complete overview, concluding in the study where I'd established the safety oversight hub. Various displays showed views from devices placed along the site's borders and at every access point. Impressive control room, Marcus noted, lifting a brow. Anticipating a blockade? Merely practical. I'm a female residing solo in a somewhat isolated spot. I omitted the persistent worry that my offspring might disregard my limits upon learning of my new residence. Some intuition advised keeping that anxiety private temporarily. During supper, a bouillabaisse I'd long desired to prepare but avoided since Michael professed disdain for ocean fare, Marcus aided in addressing the realities of my transformed existence. We covered updating my testament, altering my primary address, and alerting key organizations to my updated location. What about the previous residents? He inquired, topping off our vino glasses. I'm contemplating a sale, I confessed. Nothing binds me there any longer. A flicker of worry crossed his expression. Have you informed your kids about any of this? Not at this point. I followed the edge of my goblet, evading his stare. They haven't reached out, not even to address holiday arrangements that evidently exclude me. Marcus's demeanor grew somber. He'd observed my growing seclusion over the last 5 years, had noted how my kids' appearances shortened and rarefied, how they omitted me from kin assemblies while concurrently remarking on my simple way of life and proposing assisted living options. They emulate their dad in the least favorable aspects, he murmured. David had possessed brilliance and ambition, yet also dominance and prestige awareness. I'd moderated those qualities in our partnership, but absent my guidance, those characteristics had proliferated unrestrained in our progeny. I constantly questioned my missteps, I admitted, the alcohol easing my typical restraint. Was I overly lenient, too judgmental? Did I fail to instill compassion? You committed no errors, Ellie. Certain individuals simply opt for self-centered paths despite superior upbringing. He extended his arm over the table to clasp my palm. The issue presently is, what form do you desire your ties with them to assume moving ahead? I reflected on this while we relocated to the couch with our drinks. The hearth emitted a cozy radiance throughout the space, flakes drifting softly past the panes. I seek bonds grounded in reciprocal esteem, I stated at last. Not duty, not sympathy, and definitely not utility when it benefits them. Marcus inclined his head reflectively. Then maybe this, he indicated the surrounding area, offers the ideal chance to redefine those assumptions. The following dawn delivered additional snowfall and an unforeseen guest. I was organizing freshly arrived volumes on the racks when the safety alert sounded, notifying me of activity at the main entry. On the screen, I observed a male in his early 40s clad in a thick coat, a law enforcement wool hat covering his ears. He held a hamper of sorts and gazed straight at the entry camera. Hello there, he spoke, his words transmitting via the setup's audio. I'm James Cooper, your nearby resident from further along the path. Figured I'd greet you to the hills. I paused momentarily before replying through the speaker. That's quite considerate. I'll join you shortly. James Cooper towered a solid 6 inches above my 5'5" stature, with wide shoulders and a visage toughened by exterior existence. Despite his formidable build, his grin was kind as he presented the hamper. Home-baked bread, regional sweetener, and a solid whiskey bottle, he clarified. Essentials for hillside living. That's remarkably generous. Care to step inside for some brew? I prepared a new batch. Over hot cups at my cooking counter, I discovered James served as a law enforcement agent presently on health recovery, mending from an arm wound incurred during service. He resided full-time in a lodge roughly half a kilometer down the hillside trek. Few permanent dwellers around these parts, he remarked, surveying the interior with approval. Most sites function as occasional escapes for urban types who seldom make introductions. I intend to make this my year-round base, I shared, amazed at how fitting those terms seemed. I've just stepped away from educating. Solo, he inquired, then swiftly retracted. Pardon, that's not my concern. It's okay. Yes, I'm independent. My spouse departed 5 years back, and my offspring lead their separate existences. A condensed account of a tangled truth. James inclined his head, appearing to grasp the unspoken. Well, hillside locals watch over one another. I'm nearby should you require assistance. He jotted his contact on a pad by my surface. Mobile signals can falter in bad weather, but my fixed line always works, and I'm typically around while this arm recovers. Following his exit, I positioned myself at the pane, observing him traverse the frosty trail back to the route. There was comfort in knowing a neighbor existed close by, someone who had selected similar seclusion yet stayed receptive to bonds. That night, as Marcus geared up to head back to the urban area, he spotted James's contact on the surface. Forming acquaintances so soon, he questioned with a grin. Simply acquainting with the locals, I answered. James mentioned scarce full-year inhabitants. James already? Marcus's brows arched playfully. Odd, I feel envious that you've swapped me as your urgent contact so rapidly. I chuckled and lightly tapped his limb. Don't be absurd. He's youthful enough to pass as my child and far more attentive than your real child. Marcus noted astutely as we embraced farewell at the threshold. He embraced me slightly longer than usual. I'm admiring of you, Ellie. This marks your fresh chapter. Craft it precisely as you envision. Observing his rear lights fade along the wintry path, I experienced an odd buoyancy. For the initial time in many years, my existence belonged wholly to me for molding. 14 days transpired in tranquil isolation. I developed habits pleasing solely to me. Dawn stretches overlooking the peaks, midday literature beside the hearth, nightfall trials of elaborate meals I'd long aimed to attempt. I conversed with Marcus periodically and shared cordial gestures with James during our shared route encounters. I'd nearly overlooked the holidays until my device rang on December 18th. Michael's identifier showed on the display. My initial outreach from any progeny since relocating to the hills. "Mom," he uttered upon my response, his pitch holding that known hint of compelled tolerance. "Where have you disappeared to? I've attempted the home line twice recently." "Greetings, Michael. I've been at my residence." "No, that's not accurate. I passed by yesterday and everything was unlit. Your vehicle wasn't present, so he'd been verifying my status." Not from worry, I surmised, but to affirm my solitude for the holidays once more, easing their omission guilt. "I've relocated," I stated straightforwardly. A moment of quiet. "Relocated? To where? You mentioned nothing about shifting." I wasn't informed I required approval. The phrase emerged harsher than planned. Years of bottled pain voicing itself. "Certainly, no approval needed," he retreated promptly. "It's simply, this is abrupt. Where's your new spot?" "Some elder group." The presumption hurt. "No, Michael. I've acquired a property in the elevations." "You've done what?" His astonishment might have amused in other scenarios. "Mom, how could you manage?" "Your dad and I always handled finances wisely," I responded, intentionally ambiguous. "But your retirement funds, the upkeep for hillside spots, the remoteness," he appeared to reason aloud, adjusting his view of my situation instantly. "I'm quite at ease." "Appreciate it. Now, did you have a particular reason for contacting?" Another lull. "Indeed, yes. We've been attempting to lock in holiday details. Samantha and Daniel are transporting the young ones to our spot for the eve. Then we're all contemplating a brief getaway to a snowy locale for the kids. The ideal cue. Yet he persisted in not extending inclusion. 5 years of omission had rendered it routine. "That seems delightful. I wish you all a wonderful time." "Right? Well," he coughed. "You'll manage solo during the festivities." "I'm organizing my personal holiday this season," I shared truthfully. "Something unique." Following the call's end, I rested observing flakes whirl beyond the panes, a discomfort enveloping me. The exchange resembled scouting. Michael verifying my lack of anticipation before confirming their itinerary. My doubts proved accurate 2 days later when the safety alert signaled an approaching automobile. From the cooking area pane, I identified Michael's upscale vehicle inching up my axis, proceeding cautiously as if uncertain of the target. The auto halted. Michael stepped out, surveying the structure with incredulity. He captured multiple images on his device before re-entering his car and departing. I reached out to Marcus without delay. He didn't even tap, I described, monitoring Michael's auto vanish down the hillside track via the safety view. Simply photographed and left. "That's troubling," Marcus responded, his legal prudence clear. "How did he acquire your location?" "I'm uncertain. I hadn't disclosed my fresh address to any progeny yet. The ownership documents wouldn't update so swiftly, would they?" "Unprobable. Might he have trailed you? Or possibly the property broker revealed something." We wrapped the discussion with Marcus vowing to verify if the ownership shift had registered publicly yet. I attempted to brush off my discomfort, but that evening, I verified every portal and pane twice before retiring. The subsequent dawn delivered a barrage of messages from my 3 progeny, the greatest interaction in months. From Michael, "Mom, we must address this property matter. Contact me immediately." From Samantha, Since when can you afford a retreat spot? We should converse as kin. From Daniel, are you certain this spice suits your stage of life? Solo in the elevations appears hazardous. I replied to none, opting instead to travel to the nearby settlement for supplies and ultimate holiday setups. I'd resolved to arrange a modest supper on the holiday eve. Solely me, Marcus, and James, who'd noted lacking nearby relatives. Upon returning that midday, burdened with parcels and provisions, an odd sensation struck me. The safety setup indicated no warnings, yet a minor shift in the front hall seat drew my notice. I placed my loads down and examined the safety application on my device, scanning recordings from recent hours. At 2:17 p.m., an auto I knew as Samantha's had entered my access. The outer device recorded her and Daniel nearing my main portal, glancing about stealthily. Samantha delved into her bag and extracted what seemed like an entry tool. My pulse quickened as I viewed them admit themselves into my dwelling. My dwelling. The inner devices displayed them roaming each area, unlatching storage spaces, inspecting furnishings, examining labels I hadn't detached. Their dialogue registered sharply via the audio pickups. This spot had to run at least 7 figures, Samantha remarked, sliding her palm over my fresh cooking surface. How on earth did she obtain such funds? Dad likely held undisclosed assets, Daniel answered, accessing my cooler and grabbing a water container casually. She couldn't cover this with educator retirement. Did you catch the scenery? This site's top-tier land. Imagine the kin events we could organize here. Way superior to her prior residence. Michael's plotting already. We're all heading up for the holidays. Catch her off guard, he suggests. Samantha chuckled as though this remained her call somehow. My fingers trembled as I sped through their 40-minute violation of my seclusion. Prior to exiting, Samantha positioned an item on the cooking surface, a backup entry tool, which she indicated while commenting to Daniel on ensuring group access. I inspected the main portal. It remained secured, indicating they'd resealed it upon departure. Without checking the safety recordings, I might have stayed oblivious to their intrusion. Battling escalating alarm, I contacted Marcus, then James. In half an hour, both gentlemen reached. James remained in his enforcement attire from a prior duty. They possessed an entry tool, I explained, my pitch firmer than my emotions as I presented the recordings. Samantha employed an entry tool to access my residence without approval. The sole method for them to hold an entry tool is if a party from the property deal supplied it, Marcus stated sternly, which would violate ethics, potentially laws. James examined the safety recordings with expert attention. This qualifies as standard unlawful entry, he verified. Possessing an entry tool doesn't confer lawful right to access another's dwelling without agreement. I inhaled deeply, bracing against the cooking counter. They're intending to visit for the holidays. The entire group. Michael mentioned surprising me. Should we replace the locks? James suggested pragmatically. I want them to grasp they can't overrun my existence whenever convenient, I answered. A lifetime of abruptly yielding to justified fury. I want them to encounter repercussions finally. Marcus and James shared a glance I couldn't fully decipher. What do you envision? Marcus inquired cautiously. I aim to be ready upon their arrival, I declared, my determination firming, not startled, not upset, not exposed. I aim to confront them from strength. James inclined his head in agreement. The advantage of unexpectedness ought to belong to you, not them. Precisely. I walked the cooking space, concepts forming swiftly. They believe they're astonishing me, but will await them. The query is, what precisely do I desire to occur when they appear? Marcus rested against the surface, his legal intellect engaging. We ought to address the functional elements first. When do you anticipate their coming? Holiday Eve appears probable, I deduced. From Samantha's remarks on Michael's intentions. That provides 3 days for readiness, James noted, his strategic expertise apparent. Top concern is fortifying the site. I'd advise altering the locks promptly. I concur, Marcus contributed. We should also uncover how they secured an entry tool initially. The next dawn, I reached out to Diane, my property representative, and outlined the circumstances as tactfully as feasible. "Mrs. Reynolds, I'm utterly appalled," she answered, real upset in her tone. "I guarantee no one from our firm would distribute entry tools without your clear consent." "Yet my daughter somehow holds an entry to my residence," I countered, maintaining composure, a residence whose location I haven't shared with my progeny. After vowing to probe right away, Diane returned contact within 60 minutes. "I've uncovered the incident," she stated, her pitch strained with occupational shame. "Your son Michael approached our firm last week, asserting he was aiding your relocation. He claimed mobility challenges prevented you from managing deliveries yourself." The premeditated deceit churned my gut. And staff accepted this without confirming with me. A recent admin helper. Yes, she handed him an entry tool, believing it assisted. I've begun corrective measures. This breaches standard procedures severely. By midday, a key specialist had swapped all outer locks on the structure, and James had assisted in enhancing the safety setup to notify of any invalid entry attempts. Marcus, concurrently, had prepared an official entry prohibition notice for potential use. "Are you certain about such a firm stance?" Marcus questioned while we examined the paper. "Once specific legal limits are set, reverting to casual kin ties might prove challenging." I weighed his terms thoughtfully, gazing at the peaks that had turned into my haven. "I'm not pursuing this for retribution, Marcus. I'm establishing it for distinct limits. They've long viewed me as an add-on to their existences, to include or omit as suits them. That concludes now." James showed up that night with food from the area Asian eatery, participating with Marcus and me in an unplanned planning meeting. As an enforcement agent, his viewpoint proved essential. From the safety recordings, they plainly accessed without consent. He affirmed that amounts to a legal intrusion in this region. Nonetheless, they might argue perceived implied consent since Michael acquired the entry tool via apparently valid means. "What choices do we have?" I inquired, nibbling my noodle dish. "Multiple paths," James pondered. "The strongest confrontation involves formal reporting of the intrusion, possibly leading to legal accusations. Milder would be blocking their access upon arrival and stating their unwelcome sans invite." Marcus proposed a third route. "Alternatively, permit entry on your conditions. Allow their approach believing they're astonishing you, only to reveal your full preparedness and command of events. A mental tactic over legal." James agreed, could prove highly impactful. The concept appealed to me. Following years of being overlooked and sidelined, flipping the scenario held certain allure. "I favor that path," I resolved. "Let them approach assuming I'll be desperately thankful for their company, just to learn I've constructed an existence not centered on awaiting their notice." We devoted the following hour sketching a thorough strategy for Holiday Eve. Marcus would come early, offering legal support if required. James would attend in his professional role, his attire a distinct emblem of power, and I'd be poised to fully reclaim my story. One additional element I mentioned as our session wrapped. I require precise knowledge of their anticipations, meaning contacting the one who won't deceive me. The next dawn, I reached Ethan pretending to inquire about his holiday desires. "We're visiting you," he exclaimed thrilled before I could raise the topic. "Dad states we're all heading to your fresh residence for the holidays." It's meant as a shock, but I'm aware already. "That seems fantastic, dear," I responded, holding a cheerful pitch. "Did Dad specify the timing?" "Holiday Eve. We're transporting all the packages and remaining for 3 full days. Mom states your residence offers plenty of sleeping areas for all." "Does she? How considerate to arrange for my residence." "Dad claims it's the ideal location for our kin holiday custom." Ethan proceeded naively. "He's providing the unique beverage adults consume. And Aunt Samantha is deciding the tree placement. Uncle Daniel thinks a warm pool likely exists." Each phrase unveiled their audacity anew. They weren't merely stopping by. They aimed to seize my personal haven for their ease, imposing customs in my domain without regard for my preferences. After concluding with Ethan, I remained in astonished quiet for minutes. Their entitlement's thoroughness stunned. They hadn't simply barred me from holiday plans for 5 years. They now planned to commandeer my secluded escape for their benefit. That night, when James visited to add extra safety devices, I relayed my discoveries. They're set to remain 3 days, I shared, disbelief tinting my tone. They've pre-decided tree location, room assignments, all of it. Not one has genuinely asked if they're desired here. James's features hardened. This exceeds bold. They're handling your residence like shared asset. Precisely. I offered him tea. Our nightly practice forming organically recently, meaning our holiday eve welcome must be utterly explicit. This is my domain, my existence, my decision on entrance. Are you set for possible repercussions? He queried softly. Kin disputes during festivities can cause enduring harm. I stared at the blanketed peaks. Their lasting essence recalling my emerging resilience. The harm exists already, James. For 5 years, they've demonstrated my standing in their lives. I'm merely illustrating theirs and mine now. Holiday Eve dawned bright and chilly. Rays sparkling over pristine frost like strewn gems. I rose early, a blend of resolve and anxious vigor driving my dawn habits. Today, all would alter. Either the start of sincere bonds with my progeny or the ultimate recognition that those bonds suffered irreversible harm from years of oversight. I'd used the prior day to convert the residence into the precise festive setting I desired. No yields to my kids' likings, no adjustments for grandkids I seldom encountered. Rather, I adorned with refined minimalism. Pale illuminations threaded. Through new evergreen swags on the ledge, a modest, refined tree decorated with heirloom crystal baubles from my mother, and classy dining arrangements for 3 me, Marcus, and James for the eve meal. The visitor quarters stayed notably unprepared. No additional linens, no readied beds, no special setups for unannounced arrivals. Each facet of the residence declared one message. This is my domain configured for my satisfaction, not a lodging awaiting your presence. At 9 o'clock, Marcus contacted to affirm his itinerary. I'll reach around 2, he stated. That allows ample time to go over all before your kid's likely appearance. Ideal. James arrives at 1 for last safety setups. How's your state, Ellie? Marcus's pitch softened with care. I pondered the query, gazing at the immaculate vista, surprisingly serene. For the first occasion in years, I sensed total command over my existence. After wrapping the call, I inspected my reflection. I'd selected my attire deliberately. Not the cozy yet formless garments my kids expected, but a fitted crimson gown accenting my maintained form, matched with the gem strand David presented for our 30th milestone. My gray tresses were newly shaped in a contemporary style, framing my features gracefully, and I'd applied cosmetics with care, highlighting my gaze. The figure returning my stare didn't match anyone's diminishing elder. She appeared assured, refined, and firmly mastering her situation. James reached exactly at 1, attired in complete enforcement garb instead of the relaxed outfits I'd become used to. The formal look was purposeful. We'd concurred his attendance should convey command over simple camaraderie. Paths are open, he updated, brushing frost from his footwear in the hall. No delays that could postpone their coming. Good. All must unfold on our schedule, not theirs. We used the next hour assessing the safety setup and finalizing our approach. James had added devices to record the access approach and each building entry. All views now appeared on several gadgets, the oversight hub in my study, James's portable screen, and my device, guaranteeing full awareness of my kin's approach and actions. Recall, James stated as we concluded, you're directing here. This is your residence, your guidelines, your limits. Prevent them from reversing the narrative. I won't, I vowed, thankful for his stable company. When Marcus reached at 2 o'clock, carrying pricey bubbly for post-event toasts, the trio of us performed a last inspection of the residence. Every element shone, from the graceful festive accents to the enticing scent of the meat pastry baking gradually. A refined holiday eve meal for 3. The dining setups are especially effective, Marcus commented, indicating the eating area with its 3 meticulously placed arrangements. The tangible proof you weren't awaiting them communicates volumes. That's the intent, I concurred. I've advanced, formed my customs. They must comprehend I'm no longer lingering for their focus. At 3:30, James's screen alerted. Auto-nearing, he declared, displaying the access device feed. Michael's vehicle headed the line, trailed by Samantha's wagon and Daniel's speedy auto. I tallied participants as they stopped. All three progeny, their partners, and 5 grandkids, ages from Ethan's 8 to Samantha's teen Lily at 15. 10 individuals appearing without notice, anticipating lodging in a space set for 3. Prepared? Marcus queried softly, beside me at the pane as we observed them unload bags and packaged items. Fully, I confirmed, though my pulse accelerated. James placed himself unobtrusively in the cooking area, noticeable enough for observation, yet not instantly aggressive. We monitored the screen as Samantha neared the main portal, entry tool ready. Her initial insertion attempt failed, as did the next. Bewilderment marked her features upon realizing the mechanisms had changed. Following a quick discussion with Michael, she activated the chime instead. The tone resounded through the structure as I adjusted my gown, inhaled deeply, and proceeded to respond with measured, leisurely strides. Shock. Several tones sang out as I unlatched the portal, their expressions in overdone thrill waning slightly upon noting my composure. Graceful, collected, and entirely unsurprised. Greetings, I uttered amiably, holding position without yielding for entry. This is unforeseen. Michael rallied first, his promoter's grin returning. Joyful holidays, Mom. We figured a kin celebration at your new spot would astonish. He motioned broadly at the collected assembly. The whole group's present. Indeed, I answered, still obstructing the threshold. How gracious to determine my holiday observance in my domain. An uneasy hush fell as my lukewarm reaction sank in. Victoria, Michael's spouse, fidgeted beside him as the small grandkids appeared puzzled by the strain. Samantha's partner glanced at his timepiece restlessly. Mom, Samantha uttered with an anxious chuckle. It's chilly outside. May we enter? That hinges, I responded steadily. Did anyone ponder contacting to inquire if I could accommodate 10 individuals for the holidays or if I held personal arrangements? Daniel advanced, using the persuasive pitch he deployed when deeming me obstinate. Come now, Mom. We aimed for a shock. You constantly express wanting more grandkid time. A shock is a brief stop for brew, Daniel. Not appearing with bags for a 3-day lodging sans invite. Michael's features darkened. Mom, this is silly. It's the holidays. Cannot unite. I fully agree, I stated, making it curious that this is the initial holiday in 5 years any of you sought my inclusion. Interestingly, immediately after acquiring an appealing hillside asset. The astonished quiet broken by Ethan's pure tone. Daddy, you claimed Grandma would delight in our visit. The sincere confusion in his pitch almost shattered my firmness, but I recalled this didn't involve penalizing my grandkids. It concerned setting limits their guardians had ignored for years. I'm forever delighted to see you, Ethan, I responded tenderly. But currently, I must discuss grown-up issues with your folks. Why not all enter where it's cozy, and we'll resolve this? I yielded at last, permitting foyer access where they promptly spotted James in his enforcement attire, observing quietly from the cooking threshold. Michael halted abruptly. Mom, why is a law officer in your residence? This is Agent James Cooper, I stated, sealing the main portal behind my confused kin. He's present because I hold worries about unapproved access to my domain. Unapproved access? Samantha's pitch elevated in puzzlement. What do you mean? Maybe we should relocate to the seating area, I proposed calmly. Kids, there's warm cocoa and treats in the cooking space if interested. Victoria reluctantly guided the small grandkids toward the cooking area, while 15-year-old Lily and 13-year-old Jacob lingered, evidently captivated by the developing adult tension. Marcus advanced from his observation point in the seating area. I'm Marcus Winters, he presented with expert politeness. Mrs. Reynolds's legal counsel. Legal counsel? Michael's complexion reddened. Mom, what's occurring here? I indicated the lounge zone. Kindly take seats. We hold topics to cover before deciding if your unannounced visit can continue. They obeyed hesitantly, sharing worried looks as they positioned on the couches opposite the hearth. I stayed upright, a purposeful decision to hold authority in my domain. 2 days prior, I commenced, my tone firm. Samantha and Daniel accessed this residence without my awareness or consent using an entry tool Michael secured via trickery. That's absurd, Daniel objected instantly. We were merely inspecting the spot, Samantha inserted, giving him a cautionary stare. We were thrilled about your new domain, Mom. So thrilled you skipped calling ahead or knocking or awaiting an invite? I motioned to the big screen on the wall that James had prepared with the safety recordings. This might jog your recollections. The display activated, showing Samantha and Daniel approaching my main portal covertly, scanning before using the entry tool. Their captured tones filled the space as they explored my residence, commenting on decor, debating bedroom claims for their groups, and guessing my finances. Michael's plotting already. We're all heading up for the holidays. Astonish her, he suggests. Samantha's captured tone resounded in the abruptly hushed space, as though this remains her call somehow. Her captured chuckle ensued. I halted the recording, noting their responses. Samantha's complexion had paled. Daniel fixed on his footwear. Michael appeared stunned, maybe realizing his siblings had directly involved him. That's privacy violation, Samantha stammered eventually. You can't capture individuals unknowingly. In fact, James spoke initially, his formal pitch dominating the space. Property owners hold rights to security measures on their land, including visual monitoring. What lacks right is accessing another's domain sans permission, which is a legal intrusion per regional laws. We held an entry tool, Daniel contested. Secured through misrepresentation, Marcus rebutted fluidly. Michael contacted the property firm, alleging Mrs. Reynolds required help from mobility problems, a total invention to obtain unapproved site access. All gazes shifted to Michael, whose promoter's poise had vanished. I aim to assist, he uttered feebly. We desired to view the spot pre-holidays. You could have requested, I stated plainly. You could have contacted and said, Mom, we'd love to see your new domain. May we stop by? Instead, you selected deceit, violation, and assumption. Assumption. Victoria had rejoined from arranging the small kids in the cooking space. We're kin. Kin skips formal invites. Evidently, I require them, I countered, holding her stare steadily. For 5 years, I've required invites to holiday events that never arrived. 5 years of we're keeping it intimate this time, and we've set other arrangements. 5 years of encountering my grandkids only when it suited you. A weighty hush enveloped the space. Lily, mature enough to grasp the meanings, glanced between her guardians and me with emerging awareness. You never extended holiday invites to Grandma? She queried her mother. Not once over 5 years? Samantha squirmed. It's complex, dear. It's rather straightforward, I amended softly. I turned inconvenient post your grandfather's passing. Too demanding. Too outdated, too superfluous. Until I obtain something appealing this residence, and abruptly I'm deserving of holiday inclusion. That's unjust, Michael objected, though his pitch wanted strength. Isn't it? Then clarify why you informed Ethan I was occupied this holiday without checking my availability. Clarify why you deemed entitled to access my domain sans permission. Clarify why you arrived with bags for a 3-day lodging without pondering if I desired 10 surprise lodgers. No one appeared capable of forming a reply. James adjusted slightly, his attire reflecting light, recalling the hovering outcomes. Are we? Daniel eventually asked. Are we facing accusations? That relies on you, I responded. I lack interest in charging my progeny. What I seek is recognition, regard, and true bonds, not treatment as a sidelight or utility. Marcus advanced, document in hand. Mrs. Reynolds has drafted a basic acknowledgement statement. It admits the unapproved access, sets explicit future visit expectations needing clear invites, and maps a route for reconstructing kin ties on reciprocal esteem. You want signatures for visiting our mother? Samantha queried disbelievingly. No, I corrected. I want recognition that I'm an individual with independence, limits, and emotions, not a tool accessed when useful and dismissed when not. The paper simply formally notes that fact. The ensuing hush broke by an unforeseen tone. Lily, my adolescent granddaughter, rose from beside her mother. I'll endorse it, she declared resolutely. Grandma merits superior treatment than we've provided. The plain declaration from a 15-year-old sliced the strain sharply. Samantha regarded her offspring in astonishment, then gradually back at me, perhaps truly observing me after years. Mom, She started, her maintained poise fracturing a bit. We never aimed to cause exclusion feelings. Aims count less than deeds, I answered, not harshly. For 5 years, your deeds have clearly shown my role in your existences. Michael, always practical, evaluated the scenario with fresh sharpness. So what now? Must we depart? On holiday eve, I surveyed my progeny, their partners, my grandkids, innocent in this adult dispute, the meticulously set meal for 3 in my eating space, the arrangements I'd formed for a serene, respectful celebration on my conditions. That, I stated eventually, hinges fully on subsequent events. For extended moments, silence reigned. The snapping flames and faint noises of the small kids in the cooking area alone disrupted the strained quiet. I held upright, observing my 3 mature progeny digest their predicament's reality. Trapped in falsehood, faced with proof, and finally confronting outcomes for years of inconsiderate conduct. Michael recovered initially, his entrepreneur's sense for harm mitigation activating. Mom, evidently we've committed grave errors, he began, his pitch appeasing. We ought to have contacted first. Clearly, the entry tool matter was unsuitable. Unsuitable? I echoed the term, allowing its insufficiency to linger. Invading my domain and scheming to overtake it for your festive ease surpasses unsuitable, Michael. Samantha discreetly dabbed her eyes, her precise cosmetics starting to blur. We never viewed it as invading, she murmured. In our thoughts, you'd welcome the group reunion, without inquiring, without pondering I might hold arrangements after 5 years of lone celebrations. Daniel, ever the most protective of my progeny, fidgeted. You're portraying it as intentional barring all these years. That's unfair. We've all been occupied. Existences complicate. Too occupied for a call? I interjected. Too complex for a basic invite. I never demanded priority over your households, Daniel. I merely wanted family consideration. Lily rose abruptly. I want reasons why we skipped Grandma's holiday visits, she declared, eyeing her mother directly. You always claimed she favored calm celebrations, disliked winter journeys. Samantha recoiled noticeably. Lily, please. Not now. It's precisely now, I rebutted. Lily merits truthful responses. All grandkids do. I faced my granddaughter, heart pained at her growth in the limited glimpses permitted. I never claimed favoring calm celebrations, Lily. Oppositely, I've contacted every December for 5 years inquiring about holiday arrangements. Victoria coughed. To be fair, Eleanor, admit you don't mesh with our typical events. The kids hold specific holiday anticipations. Customs we've built. Customs that purposefully barred their grandmother. I completed for her. How handy to build customs justifying my omission. James adjusted faintly from his threshold spot, a gentle recall of his attendance. Perhaps, he proposed expertly, this offers a suitable point to review the pact Mr. Winters referenced. Marcus advanced with the paper. This lacks traditional legal force, he clarified. It's more a precise outline of limits and future anticipations. A fresh start, essentially. Michael took the sheets, reviewing with a scowl. This appears overdone. We're kin. We shouldn't require documented pacts. Evidently, we do, I countered evenly. Since spoken agreements and fundamental regard haven't sufficed. As Michael perused the paper, Ethan emerged in the threshold, his tiny features concerned. Is the holiday stopped? He queried, scanning the strained adult expressions. The naive query pierced the clash, reminding me my grandkids held no fault. Regardless of issues with my progeny, the young deserved cheerful festivities. No, dear, I responded tenderly. We're merely determining our holiday type. Victoria advanced to guide Ethan back to the cooking space, but I lifted my palm to halt her. Allow him to remain. Actually, let's gather all kids. They should comprehend events. After assembling the other grandkids, I spoke to them straight. I cherish each of you deeply, I started, connecting gazes with every young expression, and I've yearned for you immensely during unshared holidays. Your guardians and I are working on improving our kin group, where all feel encompassed and valued. 8-year-old Ethan furrowed thoughtfully. Like when you instruct using words over snatching items, uneasy chuckles rippled among the grown-ups. The basic youth analogy striking the core. Precisely like that, I concurred. Occasionally, even adults need cues on sharing and others' emotions. Michael placed the pack down, his features conflicted. Mom, may we siblings discuss privately? I nodded, pointing to the office. Take whatever time required. As my progeny exited to consult, I shifted focus to my grandkids, inquiring about education, pursuits, hobbies, compensating for missed moments modestly. James quietly exited for privacy as Marcus headed to the cooking space for brew prep. 15 minutes on, Michael, Samantha, and Daniel re-entered. Their manner had altered. A fresh seriousness replacing prior defensiveness. We've discussed, Michael stated, acting as voice. And we owe a sincere regret, he inhaled deeply. Post-Dad's passing, it simplified centering holidays on our kids' requirements and social duties over your potential solitude. We convinced ourselves you coped, comprehended, that it just happened yearly. Samantha advanced, tears streaming openly. Truthfully, I avoided holidays sans Dad. Presence reminded his absence, and distance simplified. I ignored how that worsened for you. And upon learning of this lovely hillside domain, Daniel added, we felt shocked, puzzled, and yes, exploitative. Rather than joy at your new phase, we instantly pondered personal gains. Michael retrieved the pact. We'll endorse this, Mom. Not for needing legal force to act decently, but as emblem of our pledge to improve, to enhance, and we comprehend if you desire our departure, Samantha added softly. We came uninvited and arrogant. Our emotions aren't primary here. I regarded my progeny, truly observed them, looking past my pain to the imperfect, intricate adults they'd grown into. In their expressions, I saw hints of David, of me, of the infants I'd cradled and youths I'd directed. Flawed individuals who'd chosen egoistic paths. Yes, but my kin nonetheless. I don't desire your exit, I stated eventually. But I need you to grasp something essential. This is my domain, my existence, crafted on my conditions. You're desired here when welcomed, when respectful, when truly engaged in me as individual over provisions. I pointed to the dining setup with its graceful arrangements for 3. I held arrangements tonight. Meal with Marcus and James, who've demonstrated more thoughtfulness lately than my progeny in years. Those arrangements continue. Inhaling deeply, I proceeded. Yet, the settlement lodge offers fine, spontaneous lodging. I recommend settling there tonight. Then tomorrow, holiday day, return as welcomed visitors. We'll share a suitable festive feast, swap packages, and start mending what's damaged. A blend of ease and humbled comprehension crossed their features as they grasped my forward path offer. Not absolute pardon, but chance to regain their role in my existence. That appears exceedingly fair, Michael murmured. More than earned, truly. As they collected possessions and geared for lodge departure, Lily neared hesitantly. Grandma, might it be all right if I remained here tonight? I'd enjoy assisting with holiday preps. Her sincere request moved me profoundly. I'd enjoy that immensely, I answered, hugging her after too long. Following the vehicle line's lodge departure, a remarkable calm settled the residence. James departed to swap his attire, vowing meal return as arranged. Marcus uncorked his bubbly, pouring 3 portions, one for him, one for me, and one for Lily, which I swapped for fizzy apple despite her claims 15 neared adulthood in Europe. Well, Marcus uttered, lifting his portion, that unfolded quite differently than foreseen. Did it? I sipped reflectively. They responded as ever, astonished I might possess needs and limits of my own. But they endorsed the pact, Lily highlighted, still digesting the afternoon. That's progress, right? It's a start, I recognized. Deeds outweigh endorsements. As James reappeared in regular wear and we commenced our planned meal, Lily observed us curiously, the graceful setup, the refined dishes, the fluid talk among 3 grown-ups. Clearly not the elder she assumed. You're altered here, she noted while I portioned the meat pastry more. I don't know, authentic. That's observant. I grinned at her. For ages after your grandfather's passing, I identified via ties to others. David's survivor, your folks' parent, your elder. This spot marks the initial choice solely for me in decades. Why keep the purchase secret? I weighed her query. I needed room to rediscover my essence beyond roles for others. Your folks and uncles held fixed views of mom's identity. Silent, yielding, thankful for any notice they offered. James agreed, comprehending. Recreation sometimes demands separation. Precisely, I concurred. I needed to hear my voice sans instant dismissal or override. Lily folded her cloth reflectively. Mom portrays you as delicate, unable to manage shifts or intricacy, but you're nothing like that. That view fit their story, Marcus noted. If Eleanor seemed too delicate for kin events, or too fixed for their contemporary festivities, exclusion came guilt-free. That's severe, Lily objected, though her look acknowledged truth. But precise, I stated tenderly. It's unpleasant insight, I know, but maturity involves seeing parents as flawed, complex beings, not flawless rulers of youth. Our meal extended into a lengthy night of candid talk. Lily posed queries on her grandfather, my pre-union and progeny life, my instructing path, topics her folks seldom delved. I spoke freer than in years, no longer gauging words against possible critique or rejection. When she yawned near 11 o'clock, I guided her to a visitor space, the Azure Room with its splendid moonlit peak view. This would have been Mom and Dad's space, right? She queried, absorbing the refined decor. If they'd lodged, likely. Your mother favors Azure always. I'm pleased they're absent tonight, Lily admitted softly. It's pleasant having you solo for once. After her settling, I rejoined Marcus and James in the lounge sipping final drinks by the flames. She's an exceptional youth, Marcus noted. More perceptive than her mother at that stage. She echoes you, James added warmly, clear-sighted on motives. I lacked such perception at 15, I laughed, taking the tiny brandy Marcus provided. But I wish she retains that sharpness. It'll benefit her. What of tomorrow? James queried, shifting to functionals. Ready for full kin influx? I pondered, observing flame glow on the roof. I believe so. Today avoided punishment. It established I'm no side figure in their existences anymore. I possess initiative, limits, and expectations. Marcus concurred. Though I suspect prior patterns may resurface without vigilance. Likely, I admitted, but I'm not the dismissible individual anymore. This spot, I indicated the area symbolizing my self-reliance, isn't mere residence. It's declaration of my current self and treatment expectations. After Marcus and James left with tomorrow check-in vows, I remained solo in my hillside haven, contemplating the day's clash and unexpected outcome. All had shifted unpredictably since uncovering my progeny's intended overrun. I rested soundly that night, awakening holiday morn to discover Lily already attempting online found waffle recipe in the cooking space. I aimed to astonish with morning meal, she explained bashfully, powder on her face. But I think I mishandled the waffle device. We rescued the meal together, chuckling at errors while eating at the counter. Grandma, she queried tentatively. Will today feel odd? Post yesterday, likely, I confessed. Advancement often brings unease. Still upset with them? I weighed carefully. Not upset precisely. Disheartened surely, but optimistic yesterday sparked improvement. By midday, my progeny started lodge arrivals, more cautiously now, tapping respectfully and awaiting entry. They carried lodging bags, but kept them vehicled until clearly welcomed. Minor shifts signaling absorption of yesterday's teachings. Michael offered a finely packaged item. We selected something unique for you, he shared. Before house knowledge. It feels insufficient now, but we hope appreciation. Within lay a expertly crafted image collection spanning eras, from my union with David through grandkid arrivals and diverse kin markers. Many images unseen by me prior. We thought you might lack duplicates of numerous, especially recent grandkid ones, Samantha clarified. The gift's consideration, though delayed, moved me. Thanks. This holds great value. As the day advanced, a peculiar change occurred. Sans control assumption, my progeny appeared uncertain in my domain. They sought approval pre-cooking use, consulted on pursuits, and showed wariness that, though awkward, marked meaningful dynamic shift. Daniel, aiding veggie prep for holiday meal, shattered cautious courtesy with sudden frankness. I overlooked this spot's beauty, he murmured. I see your choice reason. It resonates with me, I concurred. The peak's constancy comforts somehow. I've reflected on your yesterday words about afterthought treatment. He focused on slicing produce. You're correct. We've acted selfishly. Post-Dad's passing, distance eased over facing holidays sans his seat. I comprehend that, Daniel. I sensed his lack most sharply. But distancing me compounded loss. He agreed, eyes gleaming. I realize now. We should have united closer, not separated. Comparable reflective instances happened all day. Not grand regrets or total changes, but minor wrong admissions, hesitant reconnection steps. By nightfall, as we assembled for the meal I'd crafted, the mood had shifted from morning's strained courtesy to something authentically cozy, not flawless, not healed instantly, but advancing toward what felt, after years, like kin. Holiday meal signified a subtle yet notable change. Instead of the disorderly chaos marking meals at my progeny's residences, with fragmented talks, kids constantly departing for digital distractions, and rushed eating for packages or amusements, we dined purposefully. I'd arranged the table with my best porcelain. Not the durable where my progeny linked to youth home, but fine china with metallic borders David gifted for our 35th. Glassware and metal utensils finished the setup, fostering occasion air over casual utility. Mom, this looks stunning, Samantha uttered, truly astonished seating. I don't recall this porcelain. Your dad presented it years back, I shared, finalizing placements. But occasions seemed lacking in the prior residence. Why? Lily queried, delicately touching her dish's metallic edge. I pondered my response. I guess I adopted saving fine items for future over present enjoyment. That's altered lately. Michael arched brows, along with several others, apparently. Yes, I concurred plainly. Life's brief for delays, Michael. The past 5 years proved that decisively. Before reply, I requested seating, deliberately placing youngest grandkids by guardians over separate youth table. Once arranged, I stood, raising my portion. I'd like a salute, I stated, tone firm as gazes turned to fresh starts, sincere bonds, and bravery rewriting unserving tales. A collective pause as words registered. Then portions lifted. Victoria, unexpectedly, spoke first. To kin, she added quietly, in its tangled, flawed splendor. While savoring the meal I'd made, more refined than expected bird feast. Talk flowed surprisingly smoothly. The kids, at adult table and in discussion, met the level with superior etiquette than guardians anticipated. Ethan, between Michael and Victoria, faced me curiously. Grandma, how do you master this cooking? It's upscale, like dining out. I attended urban classes last year, I shared. Gallic dishes. I've enjoyed preparing always, but sought expanding beyond known family meals. You omitted mentioning classes, Samantha noted, defensiveness tinting. You omitted asking, I responded gently. Post your dad's passing, I pursued new passions and abilities. The classes, watercolor art, even finance sessions for better asset handling. Daniel appeared truly astonished. Unaware of your investment interest. Much you don't know of me, I admitted sans bitterness. I've evolved greatly over 5 years. I'm beginning to notice, he conceded. As meal advanced, I viewed my kin freshly. Sans expectation burdens, mine for inclusion, theirs for my conformity, we rediscovered mutually. My progeny posed unasked life questions. The grandkids, seeing authentic exchange, added curiosities. Post-meal, we shifted to lounge for brew and sweets. I'd made personal cocoa puddings another class skill, drawing appreciative sounds. This differs from standard holidays, Samantha noted, settling in seat with pudding. More deliberate somehow, because it's grandma's holiday, not mimic of others, Lily stated sagely from fireside floor. Victoria examined me over brew. Feels like encountering a distinct individual from the in-law known 15 years. Not distinct, I amended tenderly, just fuller. For years, I permitted role definitions in your lives. Parent, elder, survivor. This year, I've reclaimed other self-aspects. As night deepened, small kids fatigued. Michael timed, then eyed me uncertainly. We should lodge return soon. Young need rest. I agreed, noting careful words, not assuming overnight in my domain as first planned. Certainly, though welcome tomorrow breakfast return if desired. Truly? Samantha appeared astonished at invite. Yes, I stated plainly. Today healed many ways. I'd like continuing dialogue. As they assembled items, gathering strewn wrap and youth novelties, mood differed markedly from yesterday's entitled entry. Each expressed individual thanks with varying genuineness and awareness, but all admitting day defied anticipations. Lily lingered as others vehicled, approaching hesitantly. Grandma, okay if I remain again tonight? I'd enjoy tomorrow breakfast aid. Her request deeply touched. I'd enjoy immensely if guardians approve. Samantha, overhearing, seemed ready to object but reconsidered visibly. That's acceptable, she stated momentarily. If you both desire. Post all departures, Lily aided dish cleanup, navigating my cooking space familiarly. Know what I realized today? She stated, drying glassware carefully. I've never truly known you. The actual you. Meaning? At home, you're merely grandma, card sender and mom's work vent listener. But here, you're Eleanor, this complete fascinating individual with views and skills unknown to me. Her perception struck deeply. That's very insightful, Lily. Is that purchase reason? To be Eleanor over just grandma? Partly, I admitted, though compatible. Being your elder is top joy. I needed space for other self parts too. Later, fireside with warm cocoa, Lily queried tentatively, think they'll revert post-holiday? I weighed carefully. Prior pattern strong. Expect slips and forgetful moments, but I've altered base by setting clear limits and expectations. And this residence solidifies it, she noted, surveying the space, expressing my independent self. They can't feign you're merely awaiting their notice anymore. Precisely, I grinned, impressed by her perception. This residence is refuge and declaration. I want visits here, she declared suddenly. Not just with guardians or holidays, just time with you. Okay. More than okay, I assured, profoundly touched. This home meant for full living, not seclusion. As we bed prepped, Lily paused at her threshold. This best holiday memory, she stated thoughtfully. Not for items, but real feel. Real fits well, I concurred. Authentic another. Post her rooming, I stood at vast pains, watching soft flakes over peaks. The surrounding residence, my residence, self-chosen for pleasure, felt altered tonight. No longer mere independence declaration or exclusion escape, but new start. A spot where true kin bonds might finally flourish. Spring arrived hills with steady gentleness, dissolving frost piles into gurgling flows and drawing light, verdant sprouts from resting limbs. I'd occupied my hillside domain near 4 months, observing seasonal shifts from pure white to lively renewal. Like surrounding terrain, my progeny ties had experienced own melt. Slow, occasionally stumbling, but clearly advancing. Changes avoided instant. January delivered hesitant calls, cautious in pitch and length. February brought initial true home invites, with fair warning, not rushed duties or afterthoughts. March established weekly youth video sessions over sporadic guilt-driven contacts. Minor alterations collectively marking major dynamic shifts. On this specific April dawn, I dexted with brew. Overlooking the deeply loved asset. Hill air bore evergreen and fresh sprout aroma, energizing and tranquil together. My device alerted Lily's message, my steadiest correspondent post-holidays, completed college entry piece. Email for thoughts? On discovering voice later, inspired by known someone. I grinned, responding eagerly. Lily's months change particularly gratifying. From somewhat ego-focused youth to considerate young adult forming personal values, often differing parental material focuses. Gravel tire sounds drew driveway attention, James's vehicle rounding curve. Post-holidays, our bond deepened unexpectedly, a partnership enriching both. Not precisely romance, though perhaps gently heading there deliberately. We both cautious types valuing relationship clarity and purpose. Morning, he greeted, exiting with pastry container one hand, garden implements other. Set for those elevated plots we discussed? We'd planned sunny South Veggie Patch. My initial food growth attempt over decor plants. James, knowing hill conditions, offered design-build help. Definitely, I answered, meeting at deck base. Though unsure of garden talent. Talent overvalued, he stated, passing pastries. Consistency key. Growth answers steady care, not innate skill. Like Bonds, I noted, accepting treats gratefully. Precisely like Bonds, he concurred, eyes wrinkling corners. Morning spent framing cedar holders for my debut garden effort. The hands-on labor satisfied unlike prior life, building tangible, useful, nourishing. Your son contacted yesterday, James mentioned casually lunch breaking on deck. I halted, surprised. Michael? Why? Wondered if I'd be present weekend. Said avoid interrupting plans. The implied thoughtfulness, differing Christmas bold assumptions, unexpectedly warmed. Your response? He should directly ask your availability, James answered, smiling slightly. Not assume I manage your schedule. Smart reply. He's attempting, Eleanor. They all in ways. I agreed thoughtfully. They are imperfectly, unevenly, but sincerely attempting. More than anticipated. Honestly, you shifted equation, James noted. Forced person view with initiative and limits, not convenient parent figure access needed, ignored not. Before response, device rang. Michael's identifier as if talk summoned. Mom, he greeted answering. Hope no interruption. None. James and I lunch post-garden frame build. Brief pause. That's call reason actually. Victoria and I wondered bringing kids up weekend. Ethan's inquired your hill residence weeks and we thought, well, a proper stop might nice. The cautious phrasing, request over assumption, noted. That'd be wonderful, Michael. Arrival thoughts. Saturday dawn if suits. We'd lodge room town, naturally. Another key difference from holidays. No lodging presumption sans clear invite. Lodge nice, but guest space is welcome if prefer, I offered, genuinely meaning. Just inform for prep. Post detail finalize and call end. I looked finding James observing quiet approval. Sounded promising respectful, he noted. It was, I agreed. Though adjusting new Michael who asks over informs, trust lasting. I weighed carefully. I trust dynamic fundamentally altered whether each exchange perfectly reflects. That's separate. Prior habits resurface, but foundation shifted because you shifted first, he highlighted. You ceased accepting assigned role. Later afternoon, James departing, Marcus called weekly chat continued faithfully post-holidays. I updated garden and Michael's coming visit. Sounds advancement persists, he approved. Your feelings. I glanced residents thoroughly mine every detail, wall art to shaping garden plots. Satisfied, I answered truthfully, not for perfect progeny ties, but happiness independent their approval or inclusion. That's true triumph, Marcus noted. Spirit independence, not mere living setup. That nightfall, as dusk settled peaks, I perimeter walked asset, mentally placing butterfly attract shrubs, meditation bench spot, afternoon breeze chimes, small ads making place distinctly mine. Device alerted Lily's email, entry piece attached nervous note seeking honest view. I settled favored seat by pain reading. Touched she valued my view highly. Piece beautifully crafted, exploring my change inspiring her priority and authentic expression rethink. She wrote Christmas Eve, night she lingered others lodged, as insight turning point on intentional living over others' expectations. In observing my grandmother reclaim identity beyond assigned roles, she penned, I questioned my identity parts authentic versus performances for approval. Her boundary courage, though painful, demonstrated genuine bonds, built mutual respect over duty or utility. Tears rose unexpectedly reading. Of imagined outcomes purchasing Hill Haven, peace, self-reliance, self-finding, I never foresaw empowering model for adolescent granddaughter. Realization solidified months growing feeling. This home, first bought reacting exclusion, independence declaration from pain, evolved positively. Not painful bond retreat, but authentic foundation. Not conclusion, but commencement. I drafted thoughtful Lily response, praising writing and insights, then deck-stepped watching initial stars and darkening sky. Hill air bore awakening earth scent, unfolding possibilities. 5 months prior, same spot stood nursing exclusion wounds, bracing confrontation. Now quiet anticipation Saturday kin visit, not approval desperate, not judgment anxious, but genuinely eager continuing collective honest bond journey. The Hill residence fulfilled purpose, not initial dramatic independence statement, but solid base for terms rebuilt life rooming kin, companionship, growth, discovery. A life where holiday forgetting led unexpected paths to year's first true seeing. I grinned at emerging stars, feeling rooted and liberated, like peaks themselves, firm standing while sky reaching.